Welcome back to the Caffeinated Combat Christmas special. This is the third
Oh,
Christmas special this month, I
third
think.
one.
Third one. Santa Claus brought us a beautiful gift last night. We had a 38-year-old karate chopping another Geoff Neal, a very high-ranking UFC fighter himself. Unexpected at the age of 38. I guess Stephen Thomson has Yoel Romero genetics, and that he just doesn't age because he doesn't like Yoel Romero kind of looks old. Like if you really look at him, you could kind of tell he's got wrinkles going on. He's starting to age a little bit. Um, but Stephen Thompson looks like he's a freshman in high school, doesn't he?
He's
Yeah.
actually 37, not 38. Just thought I'd throw
I
that
don't
out
think
there.
that's true.
It
I'm
is.
pretty sure DC last night said the number 38 like 300 times.
He's going to be 38 in February.
Okay, he's basically okay. So he's 37, like point .9. Okay,
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
could
yeah.
round up and say
That's
he's
fair.
about 38.
Uh-huh.
I'm
No,
pretty
yeah, I
sure
agree.
DC was manipulating my mind then. Maybe he was
You
just
know
rounding
what?
up
I'm going to
too.
go on record and say it doesn't matter.
No, I think we need to discuss this for a little while longer. I think we need to get to the bottom of this. But dude, he's
But
the way he moves is not like a
yeah, dude.
37.9-year-old, and he's never looked better. I know he fought.
He looked fantastic.
Yeah, I know he fought Woodley a bunch of times and pretty much, kind of beat him in the second or the first fight. But we don't want to talk about that. But he just looks like he's getting so much better, and I think that layoff he had was perfect for him. Maybe not long enough given what happened to his leg, but I think that's just a byproduct of his style and the way he moves. Because I don't think you can
Yeah.
move like that without your body saying, "Please stop! You're
Well,
breaking everything."
it kind of happened to Dom, right?
Yeah,
Same kind of thing.
yeah,
Dom has very awkward footwork
yeah.
and movement,
If you look at these
and
fighters with the crazy movement, you're gonna see a lot of leg injuries, and I don't think they can
yeah.
really. I mean, you can obviously train for that, but I don't think you can ever train enough to stop that from happening, like
It seemed
permanently.
like it happened. He was up against the fence he was in a clinch with Geoff, and Geoff threw a few knees to Wonderboy's leg, and that might have been what caused it. But Wonderboy was saying something along the lines of like he turned on it a certain way,
Mm.
or he threw something spinning and it missed, and he was recovering, like he fell and was recovering, and that's when it started giving him problems. I don't know. Regardless, he put on a spectacular performance for 25 minutes, dominated every single round. Um, like you said, doesn't look a day over fucking 18. And he Bisping said he thinks it's the best Wonder Boy performance he's ever seen. Now, I not to take anything away from Stephen Thompson because I kind of agree with that, but I also think Geoff fought Wonder Boy's fight. He did
That's true.
not. I love Geoff Neal. I think he's fantastic, and Wonder Boy is just such a monumental challenge to take on. I mean, everybody, it seems like, in welterweight has fought the guy, uh, and he's beaten, a vast majority of them. Geoff kind of played into his hands, I think. He was waiting for Wonderboy to go every time. He never really went first. When he was really putting on the pressure and just started throwing, like he was doing in the fifth round, kind of backing him up against the fence and nullifying some of that movement and just swinging, he was doing really well. But more often than not, it was Wonder Boy striking first and then counter striking, and just he was playing Wonder Boy's game. Wonder Boy is such a master at just range management. Being in a position where he could hit you, but you can't hit him. Circling out, moving laterally, so he doesn't get cornered, doesn't put himself in compromising positions. He's got excellent takedown defense. He's just really good at not getting hit. He's got terrific head movement, and I mean, most of Geoff's biggest strikes happened in the fifth round, and even then, Wonderboy was kind of rolling with them, and seemed to be fine. Even on that injured leg, he was still moving brilliantly, still throwing that leg, still throwing kicks. That's another thing too. Just summarizing everything he does well. He has a great strike variety, and that helps so much with his range management. He's able to throw lots of push kicks, lots of just he changes it up so much. He's throwing head kicks, he's throwing body jabs, he's throwing push kicks, he's throwing side kicks, he's throwing everything you could imagine. He's throwing spinning shit. Um, it that all that strike variety really makes him a difficult puzzle to figure out. And they said it a bunch of times last night. The commentary team, everyone thinks they have the answer to that Wonderboy puzzle, but then they all kind of react the same way Geoff did when he's in there, taking pictures, standing in front of him and just kind of eating shots, waiting for your opportunity, but that opportunity just never seems to come. Um, so yeah, I mean, spectacular performance by Wonderboy. I really enjoyed watching it. Fifth round got a little dicey for him, I thought. I got
I was
kind of worried
yeah, I was my anxiety was rolling in the fifth round because I don't know if
because
you're
we knew that leg was injured,
yeah.
and Geoff was putting on the
Yeah,
pressure.
Jeff's got the hands of steel. I mean, you've seen his nickname, but I was
Hmm.
worried mainly because I remember the Anthony Pettis fight. You saw a very similar fight to what we just saw, except Wonderboy pushed a little too hard and got knocked out. I mean, you remember that,
Yeah,
right? So you
yeah,
had the same story, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson winning the entire fight, and then one mistake and he's lights out. So I'm thinking like, oh man, Geoff Neal, he could definitely do this, and I think he got relatively close in that fifth round against the one-legged Wonder Boy when he couldn't use his movement like he usually does. I was so worried. I was standing up. I was backing away from my TV. I was like, no, please don't do it. I can't watch. There's one
yeah.
thing I hate, and that's when you have a person winning a fight handedly for 5 rounds, and then at the last minute, bang, they get knocked out or starched. And I know it's great, but it always makes me feel so bad.
Yeah,
Like,
it does feel
yeah, even like
shitty.
like Alistair Overeem and what happened to him and versus Rosenstruik. I mean, that was just stuff like that just makes me feel
Yeah,
so I guess frustrated is the word for it. But
yeah.
I
I
love my
understand that.
favorite thing about Wonder Boy is just watching him seemingly teleport into like an attack formation. The way he blitzes in off of the angles he creates is
Yeah,
just mesmerizing because I can't even see it. It's like you blink for 1 second and boom, he's right in front of you, just
very fast.
blitzing his combinations. Oh man, I hope we get to see him fight for a title eventually. I don't know. There you see this
Called out
division.
Masvidal.
Yeah, this division's got a pretty long waiting list, I guess you could say. A lot of worthy
Yeah,
people that are fighting. Gilbert Burns, Colby, Leon Edwards, Jorge. I mean, literally the top four.
and Usman is not Davison Figueiredo in terms of activity,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
So I don't think he'd have an easy time getting a title, but I definitely think he should be up there. And especially if he fights
Yeah.
Jorge Masvidal and wins. And I think he definitely could win that. I think there's
Mhm.
great talk, or not great talk. I think he has a great um I don't know what the right word for it is. I think he definitely deserves a title shot if he can beat someone like Jorge Masvidal, who definitely has those hands that could knock him right out if he makes one
Yeah,
mistake.
that Masvidal fight worries me, to
Yeah,
be honest, because
yeah,
that is a fight that's a fight Masvidal want. That's the kind of fight Masvidal wants,
yeah,
right? He doesn't want to fight like Usman, like the Usman fight where he's
right.
getting pushed up against the fence and he can't really get his offense going, and he's got to worry about takedowns and this and that. Wonder Boy is going to strike with you, and now it's not Nate Diaz striking where he's there to brawl and take one and give one. It's very complex, sophisticated striking, if you will. Um, but still, if you're Masvidal, that's a fight you want, I think. Yeah, it's a good matchup for you. Um, and yeah, I mean, I worry for 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 Thompson in that fight. I
Yeah,
think he could win, but I don't know. It feels like a bit of a toss up.
yeah. Jorge's a wild card. You never really know
Yeah,
what's gonna happen when he fights.
yeah,
He has that very. He's got that like Uno reverse card spec to him where he could just turn everything around, even if he's losing a fight candidly.
yeah,
So that's gonna be a fun one if that actually goes through. Welterweight is looking real meaty right now, especially with Tyron Woodley right around the corner. I mean, that dude's been on a rampage lately.
Jesus.
That dude, I
Oh
think
man.
he's unbeatable, to be honest with you. We haven't seen a
Who?
formula yet that can beat Tyron Woodley. There's no
Oh,
style,
come
there's no
on.
way to fight that can beat him. So I
Come
think it's going to
on,
be very
man.
interesting to see Tyron Woodley. Watch them give like Stephen Thompson the Tyron fight. How upsetting would that be? Oh,
Oof. Yeah,
nah.
that would
I
not
could see
be
them doing
ideal.
that. Be like, here's the trilogy, guys. You just give this Steven
Who?
guy something to fuck with while we give Jorge and Leon and Gilbert and Colby the title shot. What were you
Yeah,
saying?
I'm wondering when this next title fight's gonna be.
With
It's
welterweight?
been
I
a
think they said
yeah.
February, but they also said
Okay.
December. And it's December. And
It's December
it's
20th.
the last UFC fight card of the year. It's the Christmas special.
Shit.
So
The Christmas
I
special,
think they
yeah.
said February you'd be ready to go. But then again, Kamaru Usman's also the type to say, maybe March, maybe April. I'm not feeling it.
It feels like it's been a bit,
Yeah,
right?
because it was supposed to happen on October. You got to keep that in mind. And it got canceled in real early, I think in July or something like that. Or maybe I'm getting those numbers wrong. Maybe it just feels that long. You know what I mean? So yeah,
It was one of the first fights that got screwed because of COVID. It
yeah.
was one of the first big fights
Gilbert,
that got screwed.
I think Gilbert got it. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, Gilbert got COVID, and then Masvidal steps in, and it's kind of a really unimpressive performance and kind of a lackluster fight.
He didn't have the toe defense to deal with Kamaru. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, DC said on the broadcast last night that he thinks Thomson might have the best takedown defense in welterweight history. And of course, Usman texted him during the broadcast and was like, "What do you mean? I have the best takedown defense." It's
He
like,
got his Twitter
okay,
fingers ready,
okay,
and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell
okay,
this man."
Kamaru. Okay, like calm down. It's not all about you all the time. The thing is, DC's point was that Thomson has really good takedown defense for a guy that's not wrestling centric,
Yeah,
for a guy that is almost entirely a striker. Usman is, you expect a good takedown defense from Usman, right? Because Usman is
it's
typically the one
Usman. Yeah,
initiating the
that's his
takedowns.
game.
Yeah, I mean, just it. Kamaru always finds a way to just be as unlikable as possible.
He's got the
It seems.
John Jones complex to him.
The Joan
The
Johns
Joan
complex. Yes, I
Johns.
agree. No, he does kind of remind me a bit of John Jones, not in his like personal like Usman seems like a pretty decent guy, whereas John is kind of a piece of shit. Um, he's just kind of I don't know. He's hard to like.
No, he
He doesn't.
definitely is.
He's not very charismatic. He's not
He almost acts as if the
fun.
audience and the viewers are his enemy, and he assumes that
Yeah,
we all hate him, and he like tries to attack
yeah.
the fans for some reason.
Well,
I don't know
I mean, I
why.
guess we're kind of justifying that right now, right?
Yeah,
Because we're
no,
talking
yeah.
shit on
But
him.
there's so many people that love him, and I don't think he ever acknowledges them at all. He automatically just goes to the everyone hates me thing, and people are kind of like, well, that's not true, and I think you're exaggerating it. And now I kind of also don't like you. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
mean, I remember before the Masvidal fight, he had a really weird attitude about it all. He was like,
The yawning.
um, he was doing he was doing an interview with somebody. It might have been Ariel Helwani, and he was talking about like, oh well, they're already gonna, when I beat Masvidal, they're already gonna make up an excuse because he's stepping in on a few days' notice. So like, there's already an excuse planted in there, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, I guess,
It's a
but
pretty
Jesus,
valid
man,
excuse as well.
is this really the mindset you have going into this fight? That like, yeah, I'm gonna beat him, but like nobody's gonna be happy about it. He's just got a
Hey,
really
was
weird
he
attitude.
wrong or was he right?
I mean, he was right.
He's
He
right.
was right, but um,
But I know
the
what you mean, yeah.
people really hated that fight because of the way
He's got a
he
way
fought
of
it.
just being, I don't want to say the bad guy, but he's got a way of just, like I said, getting people not to like him. And
Well,
I think it's on purpose.
he doesn't have a very appealing style either, right? Like he's just I mean for us, he's fun to watch, like really hardcore fans that
Yeah.
just love the sport and really understand what's going on. Um, but for most people, I mean, even us, I think he's just kind of boring to
I
watch,
like to watch him neutralize fighters that have never been neutralized before.
like
That's like
Tyron.
Tyron.
The Tyron fight was
Yeah,
really
that's
impressive.
fun. Watching, but you saw him against Kamaru. He can't neutralize everyone's game. Or you saw Kamaru against Kamaru. No, you saw Kamaru against Colby Covington. He can't neutralize
Yeah.
everybody's game.
Well, that fight was
Yeah.
fantastic. I think the thing is too is Tyron was in kind of a similar situation where he wasn't fun to watch. The fans didn't like him. He didn't have a good attitude about anything. Um, and then Kamaru comes out there and just like
Yeah.
really dominates,
It
like
was
bad.
satisfying.
And it's kind of satisfying for the fan base. But then he does the same thing against Masvidal, a guy who everyone loves, like everyone adores Masvidal. He's everything you want in a fighter, right? He's stepping in on 5 days notice. He's cutting all this weight. He's a badass. He's fun to watch. He's charismatic, great personality. He's the Tony Montana of MMA. And we love Masvidal. So when that same thing happens to him, it's like, oh, come on, I want to see a Masvidal champion. But it's just our own biases and what we like in terms. Nobody gets into the sport of MMA because of uh because of wrestling and grappling heavy performances. At least I don't think. I think the majority of the MMA fan base got into the sport because of knockout artists and strikers, and those are the people that really, I think, bring in the audience, right? Guys like Connor.
I'd like to give you a counterpoint.
Okay.
2 words: Chael Sonnen. He's one of the reasons I got so into it back in the day.
Okay, but
But that's more trash talk.
Chael also has a
Yeah.
very a colorful personality that's just um he's mesmerizing, he
Yeah.
plays the heel wonderfully. He's got that WWE style of playing the bad guy.
Surprised you
Uh
never saw him go into the WWE just because of the money making aspects to it.
that's
And
true.
he would have such a fun time, I
I
guarantee
think
it.
he's a pro wrestling fan too,
Yeah.
from what I understand. He
Yeah.
likes that
He makes
stuff.
videos on it
But
sometimes,
at
so
the
I would
same
assume.
time, maybe there's part of him that's like, I'm a real wrestler, I don't want anything to do with that, which I don't think is a great way to look at it personally, but like Ronda, for example, goes into the WWE, is there for like 2 years. The fans hate her just as much as they hated her when she was in the UFC, and she's like, "Fuck wrestling. Wrestling's fake." It's like, did do you know
Excuse
what
me?
you signed up for? Like, did you not know this when you joined? like, did it take you this long? Yeah, yeah, it's scripted. It's staged. Is this a shock to you, Rhonda? Like what? But I do think Chael would thrive in pro wrestling. But at the same time, maybe he's a little older now. Maybe he's like, fuck all that. I'm just gonna chill, make my awesome YouTube
Yeah.
videos that get that get tons of views. Uh, but as I was saying, I think I I think it's strikers that typically get people into MMA. I think people start watching. Like my first MMA fighter that I was really into, like a guy I was just like obsessed with, was Chuck Liddell. Uh, Chuck Liddell, he was just cool. Like when I was a kid, I loved him. He had the freaking awesome haircut. He had the cool trunks. He had the Iceman was such a cool nickname, and also he just lays people out. Like he's a power puncher. Um, I think a lot of people get into MMA or they got into MMA because of Anderson Silva, John Jones, and maybe now there's a new generation getting into it because of Israel.
Connor.
These
Don't forget Connor.
Connor,
The
yes,
big
of
man.
course. Um,
Aspen Lad, a lot of people.
but the vast majority of people, I think, maybe I shouldn't say the vast majority. A big chunk of the MMA fan base around our age probably got into the sport because of Conor McGregor. And, what did Conor go out there and do? He was very striking heavy, or is, very striking heavy, striking centric. The thing that probably got a lot of people into MMA was the Jose Aldo knockout, That's the kind of thing the casual audience knows about this sport. It's two guys in a cage trying to kill each other and it could end in under 10 seconds. That's exactly what Conor did. And he had he had a charismatic, larger than life personality to go along with it. Usman is the opposite of that in every single way. Usman can go out there and get a knockout in under 10 seconds, but that's typically not what he's going to do. He's going to wrestle you for 25 minutes, and it might not be a very exciting fight to watch, but he's going to grind on you and wrestle you and just dominate for 25 minutes. And then he's going to do interviews and post-fight press conferences and this and that and the other thing. And it's probably not going to get millions of views. And you're probably not going to watch it and be like, whoa, this guy is so funny. Like, you're not going to say that about Usman, right? So I don't know where I was going with all of this, but I think that's ultimately why people don't like him. I don't necessarily put myself in that category. I like the guy. I think he's fine. I enjoy watching him perform, but that's me. That's somebody that lives and breathes and eats the sport. I watch MMA every single day of my life in some form or another, whether it's, events like last night, whether it's just, going on Fight Pass and watching a few fights, or it's watching media stuff or training, or this, everything. I consume it daily. So, I like the variety, and I like seeing just somebody that goes about it in a not Conor McGregor way, right? I like seeing the wrestlers and the jiu-jitsu artists and the kickboxers and the karate guys like Wonderboy, and I like variety. But that's me, somebody that is so ingratiated in the sport.
You know what I think the most fun style is? It's not the striking. It's not the wrestling. I like the people that are only specialists in jiu-jitsu that can't
Like
strike
Ryan Hall?
for anything.
Like Ryan Hall.
Of course.
I
Like
love Ryan
Damian
Hall.
Maya, like Dylan, even Dylan Dennis. I love watching Dylan Dennis
Oh,
fight because he can't
get this
fight
guy
unless
outta
he's
here.
on the ground.
Get this
So
guy out of here. How
it's-
many times has
it's
Dylan
so-
Dennis fought?
I think twice
Like
or
two?
3 times, but every time he fights, it's so fun to watch because he can't strike. He can only do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that's awesome to me. I love watching a fight between specialists who can't do shit in some department or
No,
one
I love
another.
that too.
That is the beauty of the sport, in my opinion. That you
I
can come into
wholeheartedly
this.
agree with you.
Yeah, you can come into
Speaking
this
of
and learn
that-
knowing one martial art, and you can actually have some form of success if you're that skilled in that one martial art, and that's awesome.
Speaking of awesome jiu-jitsu, how about Jimmy Flick last night with that flying triangle choke on the second fight on the prelims? Did you see that?
Yeah, Jimmy Flick is someone that you got to watch out for.
Yeah.
Like, his name
dude,
might
that was
be
awesome.
very boring, and you might sound like, oh, it's Jimmy Flick, but dude, this guy, like, his last name does not speak for his skill sets. I'll tell you that.
I like him a lot, dude.
Yeah.
That flying triangle, I love that shit. I'm with you. I really like watching the jiu-jitsu specialist guys. People like Mackenzie Dern.
Tony
it's
Ferguson,
very
even. I mean, Charles Oliveira. Like, there's so many
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu specialists that just
Bryce
don't
Mitchell.
rely on it enough. But you're
I like-
yeah.
I like Bryce Mitchell
Bryce
a lot.
Mitchell,
I love
fantastic.
Ryan Hall.
Mhm.
It's criminal how little we see of Ryan Hall. You gotta give that guy more fights. Who else? Who are some other great jiu-jitsu special aside from the obvious ones?
Like Anderson
Damian
Silva,
Maia.
obviously, but he's kind of gone at this point.
Yeah,
I miss you,
his
Anderson.
his triangle against Chael is that of legend.
Mhm.
Let's Google it. Let's use the old Google.
The old Google.
Jiu-jitsu specialists in MMA. Oh, Brian Ortega.
Oh, Brian Ortega, beautiful, beautiful.
But Jesus,
he's not using that
you
so
wouldn't
much, is
you
he?
wouldn't know that by his last fight,
No,
right?
No, Gilbert
Dude was
Burns. Oh man,
striking.
can't forget about Gilbert. He's such another
Verdum.
fantastic striker that is just so well versed on the ground.
Yeah. Joe Lozon.
Mm,
I like
yep.
Joe Lozon a lot. Fan of,
Kevin
or
Lee.
a
Yeah.
friend of PKA. Joe Lozon. Did you know that?
Yeah, he's on. He was on there a couple times. They always
He's on
talk
there a
about
few
him too.
times. I
Yeah.
think he's friends with Kyle on
Mm.
PKA, which is cool. Nate Diaz, very
Oh yeah,
very
both Diaz
fun.
brothers. They're yeah,
Yeah,
some
both Diaz
black
brothers
belts.
have some nice jujitsu. People kind of overestimate Nate's off the
Mm.
back jujitsu a little bit, I think, but
Rousey used to be one of the biggest jiu-jitsu only practitioners, I would say, but she also threw in the
right,
judo. So,
right.
but then
No,
again, she
Rousey
decided to stop doing that, and she thought, "I'm gonna start boxing now." And then you watched her career skyrocket into the ground. So,
skyrocket into the
yeah,
ground. There's an oxymoron for
there
you
you go.
kids. Well, Rousey, I think, was ahead of the game, and until she
And then
wasn't,
it caught
right?
up with her. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Rousey was doing it at a time. Now that I'm thinking about it, Rousey was one of the first jujitsu specialists in MMA, aside from the Gracies, of
Yeah, that
course.
I would say modern MMA
Yeah,
fighter.
in modern mixed martial arts.
Besides like
Um,
Anderson and such. Especially if you want to
uh,
go women's MMA, definitely probably the
oh, in
first.
women's
Yeah,
MMA, she's
probably the
undoubtedly
first everything
the
in women's
first.
MMA.
Yeah, yeah, she was pulling off slick arm bars back in the day, and then the competition just kind of caught up with her. You're not gonna judo throw Amanda Nunes and put her in an armbar, right? Amanda Nunes is gonna freaking murder you before you get the
Yeah,
opportunity to do that. So yeah, I mean that seemed like it was a turning point um, when being a specialist was just not enough, right?
right.
And to this day we still see that where the most dominant people in the sport are not specialists, right? I mean, look at your lists of champions right now. Are any of them specialists? They might be, but they also have insanely gifted. They're well rounded. That's ultimately what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say,
there's
and it
not one
really,
champion here that's not a complete specialist in everything. Yeah,
yeah. I
aside from
mean,
Dylan Dennis and Bellator.
I mean, maybe you could say Israel. We don't really see Israel do any groundwork or jujitsu work and stuff, but he doesn't have to, right? Like, um,
His takedown defense
it
is so good. I mean, you wouldn't expect it
yeah,
to be good. That you don't even. He doesn't have to worry about it. So he kind of
yeah.
neutralizes that whole part.
And I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of his fights, it seems like, are just they're not even going to the ground. I mean, they're not even getting close. I guess you could say, of all the champions right now, the biggest specialist of them all is Habib. If you want to, for the sake of this conversation right now, we'll say uh, Habib is not retired because technically he's the
He's
men's
still
pound for
here.
pound
Yeah.
number one right now. He's still on the official UFC rankings as of December 20th. He's still listed as your lightweight champion, men's pound for pound number one. So of all these champions I'm looking at right now, uh, Habib is definitely the most specialized in terms of obviously his wrestling. But Habib could strike, dude. Like people sleep on Habib
We
striking.
saw some wacky stuff in that Justin Gaethje fight
Yeah.
that I never thought. I never thought Habib would be able to compete in the striking
The
department with
dude
him,
has a
but he
slick
did.
ass jab. He's got a great jab. And a lot of his striking, he's not a knockout artist or anything. He's not going out there to try to take your head off like Francis Ngannou. He's setting things up. He's laying traps, and most of it is with his jab. He's using that jab to redirect your attention so he could land his takedowns. Or he's using it defensively, so you aren't pressuring him and forcing him up against the fence or anything like that. Like he uses his jab very very well. I think it's a little bit like Colby Covington's, to be honest. He's just trying to like kind of touch you,
Yeah,
keep you at
yeah.
bay. Um, of course, Colby is much more volume oriented than Habib. Habib is he is trying to land that takedown like ASAP. Whereas Colby's a little more content to stay on the feet with you and uh, use his brilliant striking. I mean, Colby's one of the most precise strikers in the sport, I would say. He has insane accuracy. I would love to know what the numbers are on that. I don't know where. I probably have to go on Fight Metric, and it would be a whole thing. So I'm not going to do it right now. But uh, I guarantee you he lands like um at a really high rate. You know, like he's not missing a lot. Is what I'm getting at. Is he doing insane damage with all those strikes? No, he's not. But he throws what in the what fight
Robbie
was
Lawler?
it? Shit. Was it the Robbie Lawler fight where
It
he
broke
threw
the
like more
record. Yeah, it was Robbie
Yeah,
Lawler.
yeah. Okay.
He
Yeah.
dominated
He
the record on like the most. I don't know if it was significant strikes or just strikes, but
I think it was just
this
strikes.
dude. I mean, Robbie Lawler, like people always say, he's still bobbing and weaving in that octagon, like to this day. But
Yeah,
the,
dude.
the
His
dude,
head movement
Colby
wasn't
just
working
has
for him.
that pressure that just it's unrelenting. It reminds me of Max Holloway in a way. It's totally
Yep.
different style, but the volume is basically the same. And
Yeah.
what are you gonna do if a person is just constantly throwing at you, just spamming the X button? You know what I mean? Like you can't do anything
Yeah.
about that. It adds up, and then your cardio just gets dragged into the mud.
Well,
And
I think that's kind of what we saw with
yeah,
Thomson last night,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Thompson's volume for 25 minutes was
He
insane.
wasn't even.
He
He was
was
barely breathing at that fifth round. Like you could see him taking breaths here and there,
he
but
was throwing so much. And is he trying to demolish you at every shot? Nope, not at all. He is trying to make it so that your offense just never gets going. You never have it. There's no rhythm to it, right? Like there's no like Thompson throws, Thompson throws, Thompson throws, Neal throws, Neal throws, Neal. It's Thompson, 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 Thompson.
yeah,
Like
Neal tries to get one in there, and then Thompson just throws
yeah,
three more blitzing
there's
strikes and completely nullifies it. So yeah,
it's like if you are ever having like a conversation with somebody and you go to talk and then they talk over you and then you're just like you're nodding with them
yeah, this
and then
yeah.
you go to say something again and then they cut you right
Yep.
off. I do it to you a lot on this podcast because
I
I'm a
do it to
fucking
people too
asshole.
all the time, though, and I do it to
That
you as
is
well.
that is what Thompson was essentially doing last night. He was just cutting him off
Yeah,
mid sentence
yeah,
every single time, you know.
and,
And every
yeah.
time Geoff Neal got going and got talking, that's when things got a little dicey for Tom, like in the fifth round, where Neal was able to land a little bit, and it didn't look so hot for Thompson. But um, speaking of some really nice striking, how about Jose Aldo last night,
Oh
man?
man, the
In that
first and
co-main
second
event.
round displayed some next level striking that I didn't think we'd see from Jose again after his last few bouts. I mean, I didn't think 135 was a great arena for him, I guess you could say, but he's he's looked really good last night. I mean, the body
Yeah,
shots, the leg kicks, that brought me back to the days when he used to TKO people by kicking them in the leg. You know what I mean? That
yeah.
and even the body shots. You don't see people throw to the body with that kind of intent all the time and land so successfully.
Nah,
He's yeah.
no one in MMA digs to the body
No,
like Jose
yeah.
does.
He's got a
He
way
does it the
of
way
just
boxers do it.
yeah, dude, 100%. He has a way of opening you right up. And you saw the way that Cheeto Vera was flinching. Like Jose would inch towards him and he would literally go into the fetal position. I'm not even joking here, people. If you haven't watched the fight, he'd cover up both his hands and stick his leg up in the air. Like he was horrified. And that's literally an open slate for someone like Jose to just rip at the body over and over and over
Hmm.
again. And you even saw Cheeto try to throw some offense and play at his own game, and like he'd throw leg kicks, and Jose would just check them so beautifully. And in modern MMA, when's the last time you've seen an actual like leg kick get checked? Like that's impossible. That's a lost art. You know what I mean? That's never happened before.
Yeah, people tend to really just eat leg
Yeah,
kicks,
that's like
don't they?
the current meta, I guess you could say, is either get out of the way or just deal with it and try to counter with your hands as you're getting leg kicked. But this guy is just he still has it. And I think the first few times he went down to bantamweight, he might have been a little cut back through because of the weight cut, you know what I mean? Maybe he wasn't used to it. But now I think he's really getting accustomed to this weight class and he's really able to let himself be the old, featherweight Jose at 135 against smaller opponents. And I think you're going to see Jose, the more he fights at this weight class, kind of rise up to the top again. I think you're definitely going to see him fight for the title again, especially if I know you probably heard the call out, and I know it's making me pretty excited, but TJ Dillashaw, what? I
Yeah,
never
I
thought that
like
would
that
ever
fight.
happen in the history of my life. Jose Aldo versus TJ Dillashaw? That doesn't seem real, does it?
I do like that
Yeah.
fight a lot. I think
That's
everyone likes
that's
it.
a that's a movement fight right there. TJ's got that alpha male Dominic Cruz style, footwork. Not like Dominic Cruz, but kind of close. And Jose's
Hmm.
got fantastic footwork as well. I think you're gonna see a fight that's gonna go down as one of the greatest of all times if it's gonna go as it's playing in my head right now. Because I
Mm.
don't see either of these guys quitting. I don't see anybody going down or getting knocked out. I think it's just going to be a war,
Mm.
and I'm really excited for it. And I think it's going to be a main event. Obviously, TJ
Yeah,
Dillashaw's a draw. Jose Aldo's a draw.
yeah.
5-round war between Jose Aldo and TJ Dillashaw. That is so intense and exciting. And I don't know if you saw TJ Dillashaw's latest pictures on Instagram and whatnot, but he
Is
looks
he
big.
thick?
He looks like he's on
He
the
a thick
juice.
boy?
He's on the gear right now. He has all of
The
his gear
EPO
on. He is
is
living and
still in the
breathing.
bloodstream.
Oh,
So many picograms.
dude,
So many
when I looked at it, I
picograms.
had to check the day because I was like, is this when he was juicing? But I mean, he wasn't even juicing in that way though, right? It was EPO, it was blood oxygen. I don't think that was
I
even.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works entirely, but I'm pretty sure that was mainly to help with the oxygen and his gas tank at that kind of level, and
Hmm.
just to get oxygen and blood flow, and water right back into his body. Um,
Was it to counteract the weight cut?
yes, I think the only way
Okay.
that he was able to make 125 was to cheat his body into doing it with that kind
Yeah.
of treatment.
And he still
Um,
got starched.
well, I think that's the whole thing where if you cut that much weight, by the time you fight, you don't have the water weight and the water in your head protecting your brain from getting rattled around in there. I guess that's an actual thing. I'm
Mm.
no biologist or physiologist. I don't know how it works, but what the experts say is that the more weight you cut, the farther you go in the direction where it's too much for your body to handle, the easier you're going to get knocked out. And I mean, you saw
Right.
that clearly against Henry Cejudo. This guy just floored TJ Dillashaw with
Yeah,
ease.
we see it a lot when guys go to a weight class that's just not
Yeah.
right for them.
Yeah, I know
Um,
someone like Chris Weidman is immune to that. I mean, once Chris Weidman could fight at any weight class and get knocked out, but like you do see that quite often. I mean, Luke Rockhold, another one. Some rest in
Oh,
in
Jesus.
peace, Luke. I love you, but it's not working for you. There's the water has
Yeah.
permanently exited your noggin. But dude, how excited are you for Jose Aldo and TJ Dillashaw? I like how this is so exciting that I completely glossed over the actual fight that happened last night, which was great.
Um,
But oh man, I'm just excited.
Yeah, I think that's uh, fantastic. I love everything about it. Yeah, I give it to me, Uncle Dana. I'm down for
It's
it.
like a drug. We need this.
I am down for it. But also in terms of bantamweight last night, on another note, Marlon Moraes, not looking fantastic. He got wrecked
He seems
by
like he's
Ralph
got
Font.
his chin is deteriorating or something. I don't know. He doesn't seem like he could take a punch like he used to be able to
Yeah,
after Henry got done with him.
he's in a really rough spot right now.
Yeah.
I remember back when he head kicked Jimmy Rivera in the first round, and like freaking it was real fast. Uh, I thought to myself, I was like, this guy's your next bantamweight champion.
Me too.
Like, there's
Yeah,
no way.
Me too.
There's no way this guy is not your next bantamweight champion. Now, granted, he's still very young, and he's only he's 32. Okay.
He seems
I thought he was
relatively young.
Dude, we have the same birthday,
He doesn't
April
look
26th.
32. He looks kind of young.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought he was way younger than 32. 32 is it's not like old, but I thought he was in his 20s still.
Thought he was 19.
Wow, that's cool.
Officer.
Me and me and Marlon Moraes have the same birthday, April 26th, and he's 5'6". I am also 5'6".
Are you saying that you're Marlon Moraes? Is this your like surprise that you're slowly alluding to here?
No, he's way bigger than me. He is so
I
freaking
mean, he
jacked.
probably cuts. He probably walks in the octagon around like 160, 165. This dude just
He
hyperinflates right up after the weigh-ins.
he's a thick
He's
boy.
huge, yeah.
He's freaking shredded. I am not. I would have to freaking bulk to get to 135.
I
But
wish we could see what the fighters actually walk around in the octagon as. I wish that was like a thing where you had to step
I
on a
would love
scale
that.
because that's a huge factor how fast you can gain the
I would
weight
love
back.
that.
Because some people gain 20, 30, 40 pounds in like the matter of 2 days, and I'm just like, "Oh, I want to see who can do this and who can't. That's a big
I
thing.
think the reason they don't do that, because that's the thing a lot of people say, they're like, I want to know what he's walking around at now, not yesterday. Um, I think the reason they don't do that is because it would bring this feeling of
Yeah,
illegitimacy to the sport, right? Like, oh, okay, it's cool when both of these guys weigh in at 135, like they're even, it's a fair fight. But like then when you get in there and it's there's like a 30-pound differential, people are gonna be
yeah.
like, "What the fuck is
It's one
this?
of the
Like
darker.
this is like a carny fight. Like
Yeah,
what am I watching? This is Keith Hackney and Emmanuel Yarborough. Like this is ridiculous." So I think that's ultimately why they don't do it,
yeah.
even though everybody
I
knows.
don't think
Like
everybody does know though. When people first learn about this, it's like their entire world is getting turned upside down. They're like, What? No, that doesn't.
yeah, I
That
mean,
makes no
I,
sense."
I guess any like serious fan knows it, but
Yeah, but
we like pretend it's not a thing.
yeah, I love to think about it, but it does obviously do what you just said, cause me to think of some illegitimate. I can't pronounce the word illegitimacy. Yeah, it makes
It
it
makes it
feel.
feel less
Yeah,
official,
yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%. It's just not as pure as we are thinking it is.
Even though like it's just the reality of it and we all kind of know it, it feels weird if you have it right there in your face on the screen.
Yeah,
This guy's 180 and this guy's 140. It's like
it's
that's
like this is this is not
that's
a
not okay.
this is not a
That's not
featherweight,
right.
pal. This is some
um,
kind of catchweight.
like Michel Paeta last night, like he looked
That
so
dude.
much bigger than
Yeah,
Chaos Williams,
yeah.
like so much bigger than him. But they're both middleweights or welterweights. Jesus, they're
Welterweights with
welterweights.
quotation marks.
Yeah, I would have thought freaking Michel was a light heavyweight.
I thought he fought it at light heavyweight initially, just because of the way
He
he
may
looked.
have.
But I don't think he
I
did.
don't
I
know.
think he's always been a
Um,
welterweight, and he just deceived my eyeballs. Yeah.
how about speaking of big boys? How about Greg Hardy? He
Oh,
had a rough night
my
last
favorite
night.
MMA fighter
He
of all
had a
time.
rough night.
Did you just...
Marcin Tybura just
Tybura gave him the old wrecking ball.
he gave him the old I'm gonna put you in half guard and you're never gonna know how to get out of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, Greg doesn't seem to have any clue what to do on the ground. Like none.
No. Did you see his breathing during the entire
Yeah,
fight and
yeah.
after the fight? He couldn't even look the dude in the eyes because he was breathing so hard. His body was shutting down.
He's got fucking asthma.
Yeah, I feel for him.
He's
I
asthmatic.
mean,
I feel
I
yeah.
don't feel for him actually. He's kind of a bad dude, but I
I-
wiping that away and just thinking about him as an MMA fighter, I feel bad that he's got to deal with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's got to like spam the inhaler if he wants any chance of actually breathing during an MMA fight. That's rough. But hey, you got
Yeah.
to deal with the cards you're dealt, I suppose.
Was when he used that inhaler in that one fight, did that get ruled a no contest? What
Was
happened with
I
that?
am I correct in saying that was the fight where he sent I forget the guy's name, the dude he fought into oblivion with an illegal knee and it got turned over anyway.
I think that was a different fight.
Okay, I could check.
I want to say it got ruled a no contest, maybe.
I think it did get ruled no contest after the fight,
Yeah.
overturned by MSAC. Oh my god, I've never seen a intrusive ad like that before. I clicked on Sherdog and it turned my entire screen blue and said important security message. And it started
Sure,
beeping
dog.
real loud in my ear. Holy fuck. And now Sherdog's saying you're using an ad blocker. Please stop. And I'm just like, that's the reason I'm using an ad blocker. Apparently it doesn't work too well. But yeah, okay, that got turned over. And the loss was given to him because of the illegal knee for
Yeah, he got
Sauerkraut.
DQ'd
So
for
he did
that
get
knee.
it was turned over to a no contest when he won the fight when he used the inhaler. But
Okay.
Greg, he looks like he's gonna be like a gatekeeper for the gatekeepers. I don't know if you know what I mean. Like he's not obviously a gatekeeper. He's a decent fighter, but he's nowhere near at the top. And I think that's just
He,
because of his cardio and his inability to breathe.
I will say, he's shown dramatic improvement
Yeah,
since he's began his MMA career. You know,
right.
he started like was his first pro MMA fight on the Contender Series. Like
Yes.
he came to the game so
Yep.
late,
Amateur fights and
and
then contender. Yeah, that's right.
he's the definition of learning on the job, and he's done so pretty successfully. I mean, he's held his own in the octagon. You know, this is only his second loss, or his third. I think it's his third loss.
Yeah, third loss.
Yeah. You know, yeah, he's shown good improvement. He's just having trouble putting it all together. And I think that's a factor of him, like I said, learning on the job. And now he's starting to not fight tomato cans, right? Like
Yeah, this is a legitimate guy, Marcin.
he's starting to fight legitimate
Yeah.
heavyweights, and he's struggling. You know, heavyweights that have a more complete game than him and have more experience. I mean, Marcin Tybura's got his pro MMA record is now 21-6. Greg Hardy's is 7-3.
Mhm.
You know, there's a big experience differential there. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's been a tough balancing act with Greg Hardy because you want to cultivate that talent if you're the UFC, but it feels like for so long they've given him gimme fights. You know, they've given him tomato cans as if you would do with like boxing. You know, boxing a lot of times they pad these records and buff
Aaron
this
Pico.
talent
Yeah.
by by feeding tomato cans to these guys, and that was the case with Hardy for a little bit. But then the challenge gets a little too stiff, and now it's a weird spot for him because in the UFC this doesn't typically happen where you have guys learning on the job. You know, this is the last stage of your MMA path. Like this is the pinnacle. This is what you've been working towards getting into this organization. Whereas he got there right away and feels like he's just been having ups and downs, more ups than downs for sure. And like I said, he has shown dramatic improvement. He's just having trouble putting it all together.
Yeah, Marcin Tybura is no slouch. I
Yeah.
wouldn't exactly rate him like the one time. I wouldn't rate him as high as the one time when Greg Hardy fought Volkov. That was kind of a weird mix. That was a last minute thing that they just couldn't find a replacement for, though.
Volkov just like makes
Yeah,
he makes a point to just lose everything.
he kind of
like
does.
like Volkov is a guy
He,
that should be so much better than he
yeah,
actually
you're
is, it
kind of
seems
right.
like.
But my point is like Marcin's a good guy. I'm looking at his record. He beat Andrei Arlovsky, Stefan Struve, Sergey Spivak, Ben Rothwell. Yeah, I mean they're
Hmm.
not the greatest names in the world, but they're not tin cans like you've been seeing Greg Hardy fight. So I think
Yeah.
that this next level of competition is going to be rough for Greg. I think he can definitely grow into it like he grew into his last few wins. You know, obviously
Hmm.
if you gave Marcin Tybura the Greg Hardy from the Contender Series, you wouldn't see that fight go on nearly as long. I think Marcin would just starch him almost immediately, which is fine. I just think that he needs more time to grow, like he's been given time to grow already. I think you could see him blossom, unless his inhaler doesn't make it into the octagon. I'm not sure what you do about severe asthma attacks during the middle of fights. I don't know how to deal with that. You
Yeah,
know,
I
it's not like
I don't either.
if he was fighting a guy like Wonderboy Thomson, Wonderboy would bring his own and give it to him while they're fighting. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Wonderboy's just a good dude. But Greg doesn't have that luxury. You know, Wonderboy's welterweight. He can't just fight Wonderboy all the time. So I
Yeah.
think Greg could definitely get up there. I don't think he's ever going to be a champion. I just think he could kind of fight with the top maybe 15 to 10. I think he can get up in that range before he gets obliterated and eventually retires, but I think it's going to be a long road for him. And that's just my speculation, because I do think he has a lot of athletic talent naturally, with genetics and whatnot. I just don't think he has it in him to ever get to the top 10. I don't know.
Mm.
He doesn't seem like he has the mental fortitude. He gets
Well,
when he loses, he gets so, oh man, I don't know. He doesn't seem like he takes losses as a learning experience anymore. He seems like he just gets frustrated with them and just, I don't know. But we're
it's
gonna have
just
to
tough
see.
when you're entering so late.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, he's a
You're
late bloomer.
Yeah, that's
When
exactly
he
what
first
it
had his
is.
first amateur fight in his house with his wife, he didn't think it would take him this far.
Jesus Christ.
But I guess it's good for him to lose this.
If you Google him, I think the first picture of him that pops up is a mugshot.
It is, yeah. That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I just Googled Greg. I forgot. The last name got cut out. What the hell? Okay, now it's like that mugshot is hilarious. I mean, it's nice to see him lose. As much as I want to see him like succeed, it's so nice to see him lose.
Evil guy, Matthew. You're an evil man.
Am I wrong? Do you think that his
I
fight with
mean,
his
I
wife
don't.
inspired him to start fighting in combat sports? Do you think he got that he's like, I like this adrenaline, this surge that I'm getting from this?
Oh man.
I don't know, man. This guy's fucked up in the head. I'm trying to think like a psychopath. Anyway.
Yeah, I think he's I don't know. He strikes me as a bit of an unhinged individual.
Yeah. And you just look at the way he looks at like his opponents. Like he's fucked up, man. He doesn't view this as a fight. He's like, this is a personal like vendetta. I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point, but it's
Remember
fun
when he
to
beat up
speculate.
Juan Adams? And then
Dude,
Juan
Adams
threw his
is
mouthpiece
one of the
out of the
best
octagon.
fighters in the UFC. I don't know what you're talking about. He's undefeated.
He's not in the UFC anymore.
Oh my god, they cut Juan. Yeah,
They
Juan
cut him
kind
a
of
while
sucks.
ago.
Yeah, they probably get him out of
Oh.
there. No, I liked Juan. He was a contender guy. He was looked really promising until he decided to like not fight anymore and sit in the fetal position. But that's easier said than done to not do that. You know,
There's so many garbage heavyweights.
Yeah, the UFC might be cutting all 60 guys from heavyweight, honestly. I like how if you go into the UFC rankings under pound for pound best, it just says Jan Blachowicz, number 15, not ranked. Don't know why.
Yeah, that's weird.
Is that a bug? Did you forget to remove
Well,
that?
I mean, Connor was number one for a good bit, so.
Is that because the move is now confirmed? Is he vacating light heavyweight? I can't see him just vacating his belt like that. I would assume he wants to do the double champ thing.
Yeah, no, he's not vacating his belt. He's supposed to fight Israel at light heavyweight, right?
Oh, Israel's moving up. That's correct.
Yeah.
So are the UFC rankings people just assuming that Jan already lost? Is that what this is? They're just like, yeah, he's not ranked.
I
He
have
lost
no
already.
idea. These rankings, they get updated, like every Tuesday?
I think DC updates them every other year. I don't know.
DC? No, DC does it for the video game.
This is what they meant by that. This is what he actually updates. He just doesn't even realize it.
I see.
But other than that, on the card, we had kind of talked about everything. I mean, we didn't really talk about Michel, but you know that wasn't exactly the most flavorful fight. Not much happened. We saw some flashy stuff going on, some takedowns, some strange judging. I think it could have been either one. Honestly, not much happened in the fight. You know what I mean? So, I guess you give it to the guy with more takedowns and more damage, which was Michel. But I thought Anthony Pettis looked pretty decent on the prelims. He looked good.
Yeah,
Not
he
great,
looked real good.
But the last 2 rounds he really brought it together and started coming back against Alex.
Almost
Morono.
finished. Almost finished him with
Yeah.
that spinning head kick.
The only thing that
Wheel
worries me
kick,
is that
whatever.
Morono was like last minute replacement, and he was Anthony Pettis was having a real hard time with him at first. So I feel like if Alex trained properly for this, he'd have a much easier time against Pettis. But all speculation. Who knows at this point?
It feels like Pettis has been around so long.
Yeah. I mean, think about this.
Been
Is the
around
guy
a
that
long
knocked out the main event fighter. Think about that. Now he's down on
Yeah.
the prelims. So.
Yeah. He's had a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah,
This guy.
We had Ciara Eubanks fight. I guess she lost again.
I watched that fight.
So what is Ciara's record at this point?
I don't know.
You seem very interested in Ciara Eubanks' record. If you guys don't know, she's one of my favorite fighters of the year. So she's 2-6 in her last 6, or 2-4 in her last 6. Not looking good for you.
No way.
Yeah.
She's not lost. That's not true.
She lost against Aspen Ladd, Betchkohea. Who loses to Betchkohea? And then she won against Sarah Moraes and Julia Avila. And then she lost again to Kalinn Vera, and then, Panty. So
That's cool.
Rip Ciara Eubanks getting cut on Tuesday. You're gonna have to find a new favorite fighter. Unfortunate, but expected. Anything else you wanted to talk about, Kale?
No. Her birthday is a day after mine, April 27th.
Are you telling me you're actually Ciara Eubanks right now? That's incredible, brother.
Nah, I'm done. Let's just wrap this shit up.
All right, this has been the Christmas special.
The third Christmas special.
We'll be having our next Christmas special sometime in January.
Hell yeah. We gotta have our New Year special. What's the first card of the New Year? Max Holloway, Calvin Kattar?
I believe so.
Nice.
Doesn't tell me here, but you could learn on the wiki. It's got the good leaks.
The wiki.
January 16th, Holloway versus Kattar.
Man, we're gonna have some time off, dude.
I know, dude. Some well-deserved time off to deal with this newfound fame that we've had.
I mean, I don't want the time off. Like, I'm not saying it like it's a good thing. Like, I don't want MMA to not be happening.
It's gonna be a rough month. It's like
maybe
26 days without a fight, I think. Ugh, that hurts.
You know what? Let me do some after we're done here. Let me do some searching. We might find something. That's worth.
UAE Warriors. Bellator.
Maybe not an MMA thing. Maybe we could. What's Glory up to? Is Glory kickboxing doing anything?
Looks like Bellator is done. Glory, I don't know.
What are they up to during January?
Events.
It would be fun to watch.
Their next fight is December 21st, 2019.
Wait, what? Oh yeah.
It's
only past events on their website. That's not ideal.
Okay, so this seems like there's no cards coming up. That's good.
Yay!
All right, looks like Combat Sports
Canelo
has been
fought
canceled.
last night. There's some decent boxing. Canelo and Triple G both just fought.
Really?
So, when the hell is that?
Oh, I heard he dominated his opponent. Yeah, I remember getting the
They both
notification
dominated
for
their respective opponents because boxing matchmaking fucking sucks.
Unanimous decision. Looks like the guy he's fighting. Who the fuck is that guy?
Who the fuck is that?
He's fighting Jeremy Stevens, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if Jeremy gets cut. He's been having a rough time, even though he's like decent.
That would be unfortunate.
That would be, but Dana's like, kind of
COVID
purging.
Doesn't affect me.
Got to cut all these people really. What was the
COVID
word he
doesn't
used?
bother
We're
us.
very not inflated, but the roster is very something. I don't remember what he said.
He might have said inflated. I mean, it's true.
If you look at the entire heavyweight division, yeah.
He signed 30,000 people on Contender this season alone during a pandemic. or you're inevitably leaking money.
I mean, what are you gonna do though on those guys on Contender that gave such spectacular performances? You're just gonna be like, we already got a lot of people, so even though
That's
we
true.
invited you here, we're not letting you in based on that. It's kind of rough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I think
I
Dana's
don't know
gonna
what you do.
cancel that show. It's like how are you gonna say no to these people if there's such good competition out there? They're just gonna keep bringing in like cans that don't know how to fight, so they could just tell them no. Maybe, I don't know. That's a business strategy right there. If
Yeah,
you don't want to sign
yeah.
anybody.
That's a great plan, Matthew.
That's why I am the CFO. All right, that's has been the Halloween special. We'll be seeing you in January 17th.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching,
Adios.
and have a good one.